Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So it's Memorial Day weekend. I pray that you're enjoying it and taking care of yourself. I'm taking care of myself by saying no, which is a complete sentence, right? See that previous video. It is hard sometimes to accept no as a complete sentence, but sometimes we have to use it to care for ourselves. So yesterday was Saturday. I was so great. I cleaned my car, which hadn't been cleaned in months. I could have paid for someone to do it, but I did it myself, which was great physical labor and just a great experience. If you saw how is a car wash a life lesson. But part of the reason I was doing that was to honor myself today. So yesterday was Saturday. I was invited to a party and I declined because I knew there was going to be drinking. It was a free-for-all, lots of people, and I couldn't handle that atmosphere. Sadly, I kind of obsessed on it last night and was imagining what was transpiring there, which, hello, I was avoiding going so that I wouldn't be obsessing, and I wasn't even there, and I was obsessing. I was like, really? Wow, get to a meeting. So now today is the party that I agreed to go to, and in fact, I'm going to be getting ready and going very soon, and I'll be happy to have a nice clean car and driving down the hill. My husband's a little stressed because honestly, the traffic has been astronomical on Friday and Saturday. I keep telling him that by Saturday, people were pretty much wherever they were going to go for Memorial Day. Sunday should be pretty good, and people will be heading back home on Monday. I pray. His tolerance is much lower than mine. But we'll see. So I'm getting ready. I have little gifts for the people that I'm going to see, and I have a lovely salad for myself. And I did get some really delicious ripe fruit as my dessert, which I'm thrilled to have. And I'm just going to remind myself that, events don't have to be about food. I mean, yes, because we're going to be driving for hours, because it's, 2 hours down, 2 hours back. We'll be there a couple hours. I do want to make sure that I have food for myself. But I have learned in the last year or so how to fast, how to certainly intermittent fasting, but also fasting for whatever amount of time it takes until I get back to the safety of my food. So I know that as long as I have fluid and good choices, I am safe. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the icon for this video, which in short form is CTFAR, CTFAR, and it's from Brooke Castillo, the Life Coach School. And I've mentioned Brooke many times, largely because of the urge jar, which I certainly learned from Brooke. And if you put the urge jar in the search engine, you will see Jules Blessed Vegan. You'll see Brooke Castillo. She has a fantastic podcast on how to use the urge jar. And you can see every one of these beautiful beads from the dollar store indicate an urge that I abstained from, praise God. And I'll happily fill this jar. And the beauty of it is you simply celebrate each urge and then you just empty it and go for it again. It's really great. And it works. It appeases that inner child or that primal brain that wants it now. Okay, so this is another one, CTFAR. And it's just kind of the way, it's actually a model that she effectively teaches and uses for everything. But I was thinking of it as part of getting another tool of getting through whatever holiday or temptation or certainly Memorial Day weekend. So it starts with circumstance, and there's always some circumstance. Whatever you're experiencing in the moment, okay, is the circumstance. The the activity taking place around you is nothing you can control. You can only control how you respond to it, right? So first, there is simply a circumstance. Life happens. Then it triggers thoughts. Now this is where you're starting to own the beginning of your potential response to whatever circumstances around you. So from the circumstance is derived thoughts. and you start to assess, to think about, to evaluate whatever the circumstances. This leads to this section of what they refer to as evidence, where we can see how the circumstance manifested within the person. So all of a sudden you have thoughts about whatever that circumstance is, and from those thoughts come emotions, feelings or emotions. And that's just a whole natural progression. Something transpires, suddenly you reflect upon it, and now inevitably you have feelings or emotions about it. Good, bad, whatever. And from that, it causes actions, because people generally respond in a productive way. And some, it could be negative or positive, but they actively respond. And then finally, there's the results of whatever that response was. And again, positive or negative. So some circumstance provokes thought. The thought provokes an emotion or feeling about it. The feelings lead to some action, and the actions inevitably show whatever the result is of that act. So let me give you a concrete example, because there's actually, it's a really interesting talk, and you can find it. And if I can, I'll put it as a chat. But initially, there's the unintentional response. And then for those who deliberately think about it, there's an intentional response. And in fact, when you have an unintentional response, you can learn from it right away by turning it around into an intentional response, certainly for next time, if not this time. So there's never a sin in the thought that comes into your head. We can't control the initial thought in our head. The sin is when we act on it in a less than lovely way. The sin is when we repeatedly ponder that thought, when it doesn't serve us or doesn't serve those around us. So that's kind of this. Unintentionally, there's a bunch of responses to life. When we make it intentional, we can totally turn it around. And by we, I mean me. I'm just sharing with you guys and trying to learn, right? And again, prepping myself for an experience I'm about to have. And I know that role-playing is super effective. So in essence, speaking with you about this is sort of a form of role-play for me, so that when I encounter it, I'll be more prepared. May I make the wrong choice in the moment? I might, but at least I've pre-thought of it, right? Okay, so here's a concrete example. So the circumstance is that somebody ate 10 fun-sized candies. A friend. I'm just kidding. I'm completely clean right now. You know how people all say that? Well, asking for a friend, super funny. But this has certainly been true for me before. So somebody ate 10 fun-sized candies. That was the circumstance. The thoughts about it is, I have no control. I just have no control when it comes to sweets or whatever. Okay, so that's the thought. Okay, but sadly, from that thought comes these feelings or emotions which are of self-loathing. I have no control is the initial thought. The feeling is, I'm such a loser. I can't believe how weak I am. Everybody's stronger than I am. How did I feel again? Like all that terrible self-loathing. From that comes the action. Sadly, in this situation, which is the unintentional one, the self-loathing leads to continuing to eat the candy. They eat even more. They go on a rage. Well, I already blew it, so I'll start again on Monday. It's a holiday. I'll start Tuesday, right? And so they continue with that, eating all the junk and everything else, which of course affirms the self-loathing, which of course affirms the initial thought that I'm such a loser, I have no strength, I can't do it, I have no willpower, blah, blah, blah. And then what is the ultimate result? It could be something as simple as sick to their stomach, or even throwing up, a headache from the caffeine and the chocolate, or could certainly result in gaining weight. Ultimately, they've gone absolutely in the wrong direction. Unintentional in the sense that it wasn't thought out. It was just initial circumstance leading to negative thoughts, leading to even worse, emotions or feelings about it, turning the actions into the negative, and finally resulting in what they feared the most, which is what, they'd be out of control. Okay, so then when you turn it into intentional, same situation, absolute same situation. You ate 10 fun-sized candies. The difference is, for the initial thought, you think, wow, that was a bummer, but I can learn self-control. The thought is, I can learn self-control. I did not exercise it just now, but I can learn it. And then the feeling is hopeful. You're open to the idea that you can turn it around. You're hopeful that next time you'll make the better choice. So this is a whole new pattern. This is the intentional one. You can actually change things. The difference is, instead of continuing to eat the junk, you put the junk aside. You decide that you're going to create some barrier. You might ask someone in your life to please discard, the rest of the candy for you, and don't tell you where, because if it's me, I'll be in the trash in the middle of the night trying to find it and brushing it off if it got dirty in some way. Like, that's how bad. If it's in the freezer, I'll be breaking my teeth eating it frozen. Like, can somebody in your life create that barrier for you where they've removed the temptation? Most importantly, you have a plan. You have a plan for how that's not going to be in your realm of choices, right? So the action is, you're making a plan for next time. You're making a plan in the moment for how to not have the 11th and 12th and 13th candy, right? And the difference is that your weight may remain the same, or you may be on your way to the weight loss that you were hoping for to begin with. So that's kind of how this works. Let's review. Any circumstance in your life, because you can apply it to anything. It could be a boss calling you into the office. You don't even know what it's about. The boss has called you into the office. Your first thought is, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I did something wrong. Your feeling is, I'm not enough. I always get in trouble. I make such stupid mistakes. How is it that everyone's more capable than I am? Your action is going home early. Suddenly you're sick. You have a family emergency. You have to deal with it. You didn't see her memo, even though it clearly says on her side, opened. And the result is that you've created a conflict with the boss when in fact she wanted to praise you for how much you've improved. She wanted to thank you for your generous act, blah, blah, blah. Like, you just don't know, right? That's just another scenario. So there's always going to be a circumstance. We cannot control circumstances. Life happens. We're always going to have thoughts about it. We may not even be able to control our initial thought. But how we feel about that, we can deal with and make a choice. Our actions as a response to it, we can absolutely make a plan and a choice. And the ultimate results can go in either direction based on the actions, feelings, and thoughts. So I thought that was super interesting. I hope it helps you out. I will be considering it as I go forward today. I absolutely will. Because there's going to be people there, there's going to be circumstances there, there's going to be some triggers inevitably. And I'm going to have to pause and think, CTFAR, here's the circumstance. I have a thought about it. What are the initial feelings and emotions? Can I look at them differently? How am I going to act or respond to this? And ultimately, what will be the result? My good friend Tanny Raw, a social media phenom on every health channel, always says, how are you going to feel after that meal? How are you going to feel after that meal? Have a plan. Fail to plan, plan to fail. It's one of those videos I did this week. All of those little things that Tanny Ross says are going to come to mind for me. And I'm going to be successful today. But I also like this tool by Brooke Castillo of the Life Coach School. And I'm going to keep it in mind. Another thing is that my partner teacher always says, interesting. I always say praise God, and she started to incorporate that into her life, which is really funny. And she always says, interesting. What I like about it is that it doesn't clarify anything. You might be thinking, interesting, are you flippin' kidding me? Or you may be thinking, interesting, wow, I hadn't thought of that before. Whatever it is, interesting is a really acceptable word that allows the moment to rethink or pause, to pause while you think. I'm going to be thinking, wow, interesting, as I'm thinking very quickly, CTFAR, 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 what is your plan, Juliana? I may check back in with you guys, but I got to get out of here. So as always, like if you like, join us if you haven't subscribed. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of CTFAR? Are you familiar? Will you apply it? And until we talk again, I hope you are having a great Memorial Day weekend. Make best choices. Let me know how I can support you. And best of all, know that you're blessed.